Good morning, friends. We are going to wait just a couple of minutes for our friends to join us, but while we are doing that, I want you to make sure that you have your writing folder, all your supplies. Today you are going to need a blank sheet of paper. I have one with lines on it, but you can just have a blank sheet of paper if you don't have one with lines. Today we are going to use the human body text set, so you will need the passages, the human lungs and the human brain. And let's go ahead and review those things that we've done so far. We have done so much, we are almost ready to write our whole essay, to have it all written together. We have outlined our text set. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you can see it better under the document camera. All right, so we have outlined, moved my plant there. We have outlined, we have made sure that we know each one of the parts of our outline is for a different paragraph. We have boxed and labeled our essay, our text set, so that we know if we want information for our essay for T1B. T1B is about breathing out. I know where to find it. I'm going to come here to paragraph 3. We also learned, let's come to our essay, what we've written. We learned about our I paragraph. We remember that we have 3 parts to our I paragraph, our hook. We include our topics, those things that we're going to write about, as well as a closing sentence. And remember, we color code everything. So we know that in our head, we have a little checklist, we're able to see it. Now, when you take a test with your teacher, you're not going to have those colors. So you just have to remember to keep that on the in the back of your head. Remember, we said we can put it right here on our outline. You can even write it like we did here. On the side, anything on the outside is acceptable. And so I made sure I have right here for my T sentence, for example, I have my transition word, the prompt, here's my topic, all sorts of coding and labeling techniques. So after we learned the I paragraph, we got into middle paragraphs. And remember, middle paragraphs take a little while. That's the bulk of our essay. It takes a little while to develop. You have to go systematically or methodically in order. So we have a T sentence, 3A, 3B, and a W sentence. And we've learned those parts, but now, remember I told you last week we were going to start to build those to show evidence, to show where we got the information. We are using we are writing a text-based essay, and so we're using a text to get our information. And so the rubric says that we have to take the information from our text set to show our reader what it is that we've learned. And so we're going to use our outline, but we're also going to use our text set. We took our basic essay up a little bit. Remember, we showed you here's our T sentence, 3 sentences for A, 3 sentences for B, our W sentence. We can do the same thing for the other paragraphs, but I told you that this week we're going to be working on making sure that we add those things that will make a difference in our text-based essay, our quotes, our paraphrases, and our own thoughts. Today we're just going to talk about quotes. We're going to make it easy. We're going to break it up into 3 sessions. So right now we're going to talk about quotes. So I want you to look right here. I'm going to try to, here we go, get a little bit closer. If you look at this sentence, you see that I have my evidence-based terminology. In the article, alligators at risk. And then down here, I state the title of where I got it from. Remember, instead of underlining alligators at risk, I could put quotations around it. I could say in paragraph 2 of alligators at risk, There are several ways. Remember, you can look back at your evidence-based terminology chart. But then after my evidence-based terminology, I say it states that the American alligator can be found in the wetlands of the southern United States. That comes directly from the text, okay? So then I'm going to get my highlighter and I'm going to show you that we have our quotation marks. Your quotation marks go around the text. And remember, last week we said a quotation is exact words from the text. We're actually stealing those words from the text and putting them in our essay, but we have to give credit back to the author. So we're saying where we got it from, we're putting quotations around it, and then the text that we steal, the quotation, we put inside of quotation marks. So then here is what we are quoting, the exact words from the text. And you can see I have all 4 parts. It's 3 parts, but 2 quotation marks. I have my evidence-based terminology. I have my quotation marks at the beginning and at the end. And then I have the exact words from the text. I want you to also remember that your punctuation goes inside of the quotation marks, okay? We're going to practice that today. Let's look at our lungs text set, our human lungs. And I started it with our T sentence for our first paragraph. Move all of my stuff. All right, we are right here on this first page. Remember, my outline says that the first thing I want to talk about is breathing in, right? If you look on your outline, oh my goodness, I forgot what T1 was supposed to be about. You have your outline, your roadmap. So I'm going to write 3 or 4 sentences about point A and 3 or 4 about B. Today, we're just going to write 1. I'm just going to practice the quote, and then we're going to look at several other paragraphs, and we're going to write some quotes from there. So first, the human body has 2 lungs. That's my T sentence. That's introducing. I have my transition word. That's reminding my reader what the entire essay is about, what my central idea or my central message is, the human body, and then what I'm going to write about in this paragraph, lungs. Okay, my T1 is about lungs. So now I'm going to talk about breathing in. I'm looking right here in paragraph 2, and I want to underline the second sentence right here. Remember, I wrote that in the essay that we just kind of wrote out to find the 3A and 3B, but there are several things that I need to do to include this sentence as a quote. Remember, I am writing these exact words. I'm not changing anything. I'm spelling it all correctly because it's right there in front of me. If you look back at our chart, it says that we have our evidence-based terminology, our quotation marks, and the exact words. Okay, so let's pick our evidence-based terminology. Let's say, according to, you can write this with me. Now I'm going to write the passage title, which is The Human Lungs. Now, what do I do with the title? That's right, I'm going to underline it. According to the human lungs, it says, or it states, now look at what I'm going to do, boys and girls. I am going to take this sentence and I'm going to copy it word for word, letter by letter, and I'm going to put it into my text set. Remember, the next thing I have to have is quotation marks. So I start my quotation, and now I am looking down. Do you see me looking down? You can't see my paper, but I am looking down. I'm coming up here to write, and then I'm looking back down to see the exact words. I don't want to skip anything. I'm stealing these words, borrowing them from the author, but I'm showing that I know how to use a quotation. The air goes through a series of branches in your lungs called bronchi. Now, if you're confused about how to spell it, don't just guess. Look down at your paper. You're copying directly from the text. BRONCHIOLES. Now, I'm ending my sentence, and now I have to close the quotation. So I put my quotation mark. So I can do the same thing that I did on our example quotation. I can find the evidence-based terminology, the quotation marks, and the direct sentence. So let's do that. So here is my evidence-based terminology according to the human lungs. Then I have my quotation marks around the sentence that I took from the text. And then I have the words that I took directly from the essay, that sentence that we borrowed. And that's it, boys and girls. That's quoting something from the text to show your reader that you are learning something about the human lungs. Breathing in. We're going to talk about breathing in this part of the essay. Now, do you remember what I said always comes after a quote or paraphrase? Hopefully you said your own thought. Remember, those were the pink sentences. We're going to add that, not today. We're going to add that eventually. So I want you to keep this piece of paper that we just did. I want you to keep this just like this. Okay, we're going to add to it next week and then the following week. Okay, so leave it just like this is. Get a new piece of paper. I'm going to go ahead and move mine so I don't lose it. Do you have a tendency to lose things in your desk? Your teacher's probably looking around saying, you do, you do, you do. It happens. That's why it's important that we keep everything in a folder so we don't lose it. Okay, I want us to just practice quoting. So we're going to look at a couple of different paragraphs. Will you turn to paragraph 3 in the human lungs? We're just going to pick any sentence, doesn't matter. We're just going to practice quotes, okay? I want to pick this sentence right here. This air travels in reverse through the bronchioles and bronchi. Why am I continuing to pick all the hard words to spell, right? So we're going to identify this on our paper. Let's put paragraph 3, okay? And then we have 3 things that we need to include in our quote: our evidence-based terminology, the sentence directly from the text, and we have to remember to put quotation marks around everything that we're borrowing from the passage. Okay, so let's see. If I want to use something other than according to, and then the title, I'm going to say after reading paragraph 3. So let's start with our evidence-based terminology. After reading paragraph 3, I know, and here comes our quote. Here's my quotation marks, and then we are going to start this air, and this is the part that I'm copying directly from my text. So you should be looking down at your text, looking back up at your paper, copying exactly how words are spelled. BRONCHIOL and Now, there's my period. I'm going to close my quote, and now let's find and highlight those 3 parts. We're first going to find our evidence-based terminology after reading paragraph 3. Then we're going to find our quotation marks. I have them at the beginning of my sentence and then after my punctuation. Excuse me, let me move my star. Here's my punctuation, and then I put the quotation marks. And then let's highlight our sentence that we found in the text. I know that I can find that direct sentence with those exact words inside of paragraph 3, okay? Now I want you to turn the page, and I want you to find the cool picture of the human brain, and I want to look at paragraph 5. I want to, let's do this. I'm going to put a box around this. 2 sentences. The sentence, can you wiggle your pinky finger? The signal already went through your brain. Boys and girls, if you were wondering, can I quote 2 sentences? Absolutely. We don't want to quote 3, 4, 5 sentences. We want to paraphrase those. But if you have 2 shorter sentences that go together, you can quote them. These are some shorter sentences, and I want to show that. So I am going to come down here, and we're going to quote paragraph 5. Okay, so you can put a little line right here. You're done with that. We're going to go to paragraph 5. And now what is the first thing we have to have? That's right, evidence-based terminology. So this is not the human lungs, this is the human brain. So I'm going to change my text title, and I'm going to change my words up. I don't want to say the same thing again and again. According to the human lungs, according to the human brain. I don't want to say that 6 or 7 times in my essay. I want to be able to show that I have other words to say instead of that. That's why that list that we made on our evidence-based terminology chart is so important, okay? So if you can't remember, you can go back to that chart, but I am going to also give you one as an example. I'm going to start with the text title. Now, I also want you to see that I am capitalizing the H and the B, because that's what it is in the title. Of course, I'm capitalizing the first word of my sentence, but I want you to also know whenever you are looking at a title, copy it just like it is. If 2 or 3 or 4 words are capitalized and 2 or 3 are not, then you just copy it just like that. The human brain says, then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to start my quotation, okay? And I'm going to copy what we just boxed. Can you wiggle your pinky finger? The signal already went through your brain. Remember, this is where I'm looking down, copying directly from the text. It has a question mark. I'm going to keep it there. Now, look, I'm ending a sentence, but I'm not ending my quote. So I'm not putting a quotation mark just yet. All right, now I am finished. I double checked. I'm going to put my quotation marks again, and I'm going to do the same thing we did on the text, on the sentence above. Here is my evidence-based terminology. The human brain says, that's telling where I got this quotation mark from. Now I have my quotation marks. And remember, they are before and after the entire sentence that and in this case, 2 sentences, that I borrowed from the text. Can you wiggle your pinky finger? The signal already went through your brain. Good job. All right, boys and girls, we're going to do one more, and then our lesson is going to be done for the day. I want you to turn to the very last page, and I want to look at paragraph 9. I want to quote this second sentence. This is very important. This is a great way to protect your brain. Do your parents make you do this before you ride your bicycle or your skateboard or scooter? I make my daughter wear a helmet when you ride your bike. Okay, so let's come down a little bit more. We can put a divider. This is in paragraph 8. And actually, that's what I want to say this time. I want to say in paragraph 8 of the human brain. That's going to be my evidence-based terminology. But this time, I tricked you. I want to put it at the end. So I'm going to start with my quotation, the sentence from the text, and then I'm going to go write my evidence-based terminology at the end. So we're going to start with our quotation marks, and we're going to write what the text says. Now, I'm finished with my sentence, or with the quotation, but I'm not finished with my sentence. So I'm going to put my quotation, and then I'm going to give my evidence-based terminology. It says paragraph, what paragraph are we in? 8. It says paragraph 8 of the human brain. Now, I still have to underline my text. Okay, and now we get to go do the same thing that we've done. Do we have those 3 parts, our evidence-based terminology, the sentence directly from the text, and quotation marks around that? So remember, here I put my evidence-based terminology at the end of my sentence, and you can do that as well. Then I'm going to come and find my quotation marks. Remember, they go at the top. This is like those air quotes that people use all the time. And then I can find the text that I borrowed from my source, from the text. It's directly linked back to the text. Now, boys and girls, the reason why this is so important is that when someone is grading your test, if they want to look back in the text set to see, oh, did this person quote this exact thing? Let me see if those are the exact words. And the person can look right back here. Oh, the human brain says this. Let me look back in the human brain passage. Okay, let's go over this one more time, and then we will be done for the day. The things that we need to include to make sure that we have a complete quote built into our essay is our evidence-based terminology, where we found the information from, then quotation marks around what you found in the text. So I have it here before my sentence starts. Then I have the exact words from the text. The American alligator can be found in the wetlands of the southern United States. Then I close my quote with a quotation mark. Okay, and then I can look back in all of these, and I can see that I have all 3 parts. I have my evidence-based terminology in each one. I can put it at the beginning, or I can put it at the end. I have my quotation marks before and after each of the sentences, and I can show you that in paragraph 3 in the human brain and paragraph 8, where I found each of those sentences. Boys and girls, you might want to do this with a small group today or tomorrow with the rainforest passage set. You and a friend sit down, look through your text set, or you say to your friend, I want you to write a quote from paragraph 3. of the Rainforest text set. And your friend might say back to you, I want you to write a quote from paragraph 6 of the Rainforest text set. And then you can check each other's work with your highlighter. You can see, did that person have evidence-based terminology? Did they put quotations around the direct text? And then you can even test to see, was that sentence directly from the text? You look back in your Rainforest text set and say, oh, this is what they quoted. Oh, you forgot a word, or no, you did a great job. You can do that and be kind of like a teacher for the day, right? Thank you so much for joining us today to learn all about quotes. Keep all of your papers with you in your folder. Don't lose them. And I will see you back next week.